All right, good morning. Welcome to Manhood. Today is Wednesday today? Is that right? It's Wednesday. We're in what? March 11th. Wednesday, March 11th. We're here today. We're going to be going through Luke chapter 20. So that'll be really good. Luke chapter 20 is basically like a showdown. The religious leaders are pretty desperate to discredit Jesus, and so they're pretty much just asking question after question, trying to trap him out in public. Right? They're asking, like, who gives you authority? Should we pay taxes to Caesar? What about the resurrection? But every time they try to trap him, Jesus flips the conversation and exposes the real issue, that they aren't actually searching for the truth, right? That they're protecting their power. And by the end of the chapter, Jesus asks a question of his own. And that's who is the Messiah really. So Luke 20 really isn't just about like the arguments, but it's about him reasserting his authority. It's good stuff. So we'll get into that in just a minute. Before we do, proverb of the day is Proverbs 3, starting in verse 11, which is, my son, do not despise the Lord's discipline. Bruce, thank you for liking it. Be wary of his reproof, for the Lord reproves him whom he loves, as a father the son in whom he delights. So whenever we're getting reproved or corrected, right, being shaped by him, it's because he loves us. It's good stuff. Oh, what? How are you able to be up here? I can't even stay up there. Okay, all right. Oh, I missed it. All right, we got the gratitude minute here now. 3 things we're thankful for. If you're here and you want to throw something in, you're welcome to. I am super grateful for how this week has gone up to this point. It's been a very intense week, very, very busy, but it's been good. We're making lots of good progress. Oh my goodness, he is throwing that stuff down. But it's been very good. It's been blessed and not boring at all, that's for sure. So that's been good. I am just super grateful for, I guess what I'll say is I'm very grateful for like the outward, my outgoingness, because I don't think that's self-created, but I'm very, very able to just talk to people, and I'm grateful that that's not a terrifying prospect for me. I think we got to jump down there. Maybe go over here first. All right, third thing. We've got some friends that live right down the street from us, and I'm super grateful for that. It's pretty cool to have like built-in people to hang out with, you know. And yeah, that's a fairly new thing here in the last, 6 or 8 months. But it's been a huge blessing. All right, we're going into, if I can actually get my thing to work. We're going into Luke chapter 20 today, and we're going to start out in verse 1, because that's usually the best place to start if you're starting Luke 20. And I missed. Nothing but top-tier gameplay over here while we read the Word of God. Great. Okay, one day, as Jesus was teaching the people in the temple and preaching the gospel. So, quick thing here. I know I barely read one line, but I think it's kind of important. This temple teaching time, this time where they would get together and teach the word, these would be very crowded events, right in the synagogue. It's very, very clear that they are more than open for there to be all types of teachers, right? It's not just like it's not like we have today where you have like an ordained person or a chosen person, like a preacher that is the only one who speaks. Anybody who had I don't know if it's anyone, but rabbis, right? Jesus was a rabbi. They would often teach in the temple courts, and that would be it would be full of people, and then like confrontations like these would be very, very visible, right, out in the open. All right, and so he was teaching there, preaching the gospel. The chief priests and the scribes with the elders came up and said to him, "Tell us by what authority you do these things, or who it is that gave you this authority." Something else that I've learned recently, this may not be actually like totally connected to this story, but I found it really, really interesting. I started reading some stuff from Josephus, the Jewish historian, during the time he was actually born after Christ died. But what is really, really interesting is chief priests were often political figures. And during the war afterward, they became like military leaders as well. Which I find super interesting. Flesh Fighters, thank you for following. Welcome. And so these guys, these chief priests would have been political. Some of them would have been military. So some of them would be on the side of like they would be tied to Roman authority, right? At this time, Rome is occupying the space, and I got to jump this time. Watch this. There we go. We landed on it now. So some of them would have been for Rome, and then there was other priests that were coming together in like opposition to Rome, trying to structure essentially a revolt or a rebellion. But they were like political leaders as well as it's not the same as it is today, where they're just like religious authority, right? Where what we would call like a pastor in the Protestant space or a priest in the Catholic space. They seem to be much more all encompassing. But they come up to Jesus and they say, "Tell us, by what authority do you do these things, or what has given you the authority?" And he answers them, right? So he sees through this as a trap because he's Jesus and he's awesome. And he says, "I will also ask you a question. Now tell me, was the baptism of John from heaven or from man?" Oh man, how do I get down there? Probably like this. This way I don't. Oh, nope, go right over the top. So they see right through this as well. They see what he's saying here. But you know what it's doing, though, is it's exposing something very, very different from their side, which is just interesting. Because listen to what they say. So he says, "Was the baptism of John from heaven or from man?" So they didn't necessarily like John. And they discuss it with one another, saying, "If we say from heaven, he will say, 'Why did you not believe him?' So if we acknowledge that his baptism was from God, it was from heaven, then they're going to freak out because we wouldn't accept him during his time alive. But if we say from man, all the people will stone us to death, for they are convinced John was a prophet." So taking into account... Hey, we did it. Good job. Look at that. We got it. Taking into account that what they're saying here, they care much more about the view of the people than about what's actually true, right? That's their fear. Their fear is not whether or not they're actually correct. It's whether or not they're going to be accepted by the people that are surrounding them. And so it's a showcase of their heart, even though they're not answering the question directly. It's showcasing, hey, here's where their heart actually is. Here's where their mind actually is at, which is just a self-protection away from the ire of the people. And they've lost this component of leading the people into truth, right? They're supposed to be the ones who are pursuing truth, being intercessors for these people. And now they're essentially just holding onto their power and authority and trying to answer questions in a way that lets them maintain it. And so Jesus says to them, so they answered that they did not know where it came from, so they couldn't be caught up in this. And Jesus said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things." And he began to tell the people this parable. He said, "A man planted a vineyard." Hold on, I gotta I gotta wipe out these little apparition guys. Watch this. Oh, who's shooting me? All right, we're good to go. So a man planted a vineyard and let it out to tenants who went into another country for a long while. Let would be like rented it for them to take ownership of it and oversee it for his time away. So you would, it's like renting a business in essence. So they would oversee it while he was gone. Okay. He's got a vineyard. He lets it out. When the time came, I really appreciate that. Zeal. Oh, is it Seal Viking? Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Welcome in. It's good to have you here. Okay, so he began to tell him this parable. He plants a vineyard. He lets it out. When the time came, he sent a servant to his tenants so they would give him some of the fruit of the vineyard. But the tenants beat this guy and sent him away empty-handed. And he sent another servant, but they also beat and treated him shamefully and sent him away empty-handed. All right, 1 second. Should we do this thing? I don't really need it at this point. I don't even know what to duplicate. So he sends another servant, but they also beat him, treated him shamefully, sent him away empty-handed. And then it says, and he sent yet a third. This one they also wounded and cast out. And the owner of the vineyard said, "What shall I do? I will send my beloved son. Perhaps they will respect him." They don't really drop much. All right. So I know I'll send my son. They haven't respected my servants, and they've treated them horribly. But they'll take care of him, the heir to my estate. Not that. All right. Oh, that was just health. Oh no. Okay. All right. It's just a dead end. Almost died right there. Just jump over top of it. See that? Doesn't seem like this is the proper. Oh goodness! All right. Okay. Sorry. Part of the joy of this channel. Hi, Mrs. Bull. Welcome. Good morning. So happy you're here. Is dealing with me being distracted half the time. So you guys are just gonna have to enjoy that. Okay. So they beat him, sent him away empty-handed, and then finally he sends. Oh my goodness! These archer guys. Not a fan. Let's keep on moving. Is he up on the top of that? Oh, let's go up there and kill him real quick. Hold on. Hold on. Here we go. Okay, I feel like I should have been invincible for that moment. Ouch. Okay. I keep trying to lock onto him and it locks away from him. Thank you. All right. Watch this. You guys ready? First try. All right. There we go. Okay, so I'll send my son. Perhaps they will respect him. But when the tenants saw him, they said to themselves, "This is the heir. Let us kill him so that the inheritance may be ours." And they threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. What then will the owner of the vineyard do to them? He will come and destroy those tenants and give the vineyard to others. And when they heard this, they said, "Surely not." But he looked directly at them and said, "What then is this that is written? The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. Okay, there's a lot to dig in here. So this story, right, just the base root meaning of what's going on. What are these here? Let's see. Oh, okay. It's just telling me about that. Oh, I just fell off a cliff. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Watch this. Nope. We'll be all right. We'll be all right. We'll get back up there. So base root meaning of the story, right? This is talking about the people of Israel and the religious authorities, right? Those put in charge of the quote-unquote vineyard is essentially what's being discussed here, right? So he's like, hey, in the same way that this tenant came in and took over for the master of the vineyard, that is what's happening with the religious authority of the day, right? These religious leaders, is they come in, they're given authority over God's vineyard, over God's people, to be an intercessor for them. And they're expected to take care of it, to give to God what is God's, and to tend to the people that are, the people of God. And he's saying that, hey, over all these years, we've sent you prophets, we've sent you teachers, all these people that, oh, look at this here. I didn't realize that was where I was headed. So they've been sent the prophets. They've killed them all, right? He's making the point that all throughout history, the people of Israel have rejected God and have wanted to go their own way. And he sent multiple times. He gave them multiple opportunities to... I can't keep going that way. Gave them multiple opportunities to repent, to listen to those that God had sent. And he's making the point they did not. And then he says... And then the vineyard sent his own son. Which, if you pay attention, Jesus once again is claiming divinity. He is claiming the messianic... Oh, did they all die now? Kind of sad. He's claiming that he's Messiah right in front of their faces. That's what he's doing right now. Because he's like, hey, now the master sent his own son, which is me, right? And you're going to kill me. And so what's the master going to do? So this is once again all throughout Luke. What we see is this like contrast, this vast contrast between the heart of God to like save people and set them free, but at the same point, there's this element of now his final judgment comes on those who truly reject what he's calling for. Right? If you don't accept the free gift of Christ, there is judgment coming on these people that are supposed to be the chosen ones of God that just abandon it, that don't obey it. And so if you finally kill the very Son of God who's meant to bring salvation to the world, there's nothing left for you, right? There's no way to claw yourself back and to say that you're still free of sin, right? Because they were all bound around following the law, right? They wanted to be quote-unquote good, right? We're good people. We honor God in everything that we do. Was that this will be fun. But in essence, their hearts are far from it, which is why they can't even perceive that Jesus is who he says. Now, this parable, going outside of it, it echoes Isaiah 5, and I'll read a little bit of that. So Isaiah 5, let me sing for my beloved, my love song concerning his vineyard. My beloved had a vineyard on a very fertile hill. He dug it and cleared it of stone and planted in it choice vines, he built a watchtower in the midst of it and hewed out a wine vat in it, and he looked for it to yield grapes, but it yielded wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem, O men of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more is there for me to do to my vineyard that I have not done to it? When I looked upon it to yield grapes, why did it yield wild grapes? And now I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it shall be devoured. So this is like a seemingly reflective story, right? It's talking about the managers of the vineyard, but when you take into account that when Jesus is talking in his parable about the fruit of the vineyard, what's interesting is he is. Oh, here, 1 second. I gotta help this guy. What's interesting is he seems to be referring to a. Hold on. We're good. A very reflective vineyard story, right? Because he's saying, hey, he's sent to those masters of the vineyard, right? These religious leaders for some of the fruit. So he's like, hey, show me the fruit of what you guys are doing. Back here in Isaiah, God is referring to the people of Israel as the fruit of a vineyard, right? And so this seems to really reflect that story there. That looks cool. I wonder if I can use that. And now he's taking that story of this, like, hey, the vineyard is not bearing good fruit, and he points it back at the religious leaders of the day. Hi, Angeli. Hey, weren't you on, I think you were on TikTok before, if I'm not wrong. Or am I wrong? And you've always been on YouTube. But welcome in. I'm happy you're here. It's great. Okay, sorry. And then he ends with, there's more to talk about. There's a lot to talk about here. So they say to him, hey, surely not. He won't be cut off and thrown away. And what I find interesting, he looks directly at them and he said, what then is this that is written? Morning, Bull. Welcome, man. Happy to have you here. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Okay, cool. Well, welcome on YouTube. I'm happy you're there. Everyone who falls on that stone will be broken to pieces. Viking, that's an interesting question. I don't know that these parables can be interwoven the way that we would often like to. Because yes, Jesus is the vine, right? I am the vine, you are the branches, right? Like we're multiple times told that Jesus is like this life-giving source, and I mean we're told like you're a part of this tree. You've been grafted in. Others have been cut out, but you can be grafted out. We're also told that at times we're the soil, right? It's like, hey, a sower went out to cast seeds, and what kind of soil does it land on? And in that parable, we're actually the soil of the ground. So I'm not sure it fully crosses that clearly. But there is a case to be made. Yes, Jesus is the vine. The Father is the vine dresser in a separate parable. I don't know if they flow in and out like that completely smoothly or not, but it appears so. Like this parable, like God is the owner of the vineyard. But in this parable, Jesus is not the vine. Jesus is actually the son sent that they're going to kill. Oh, cool. We could be a Crucible Knight. That sounds fun. Okay, sorry. So we just read. I keep distracting myself. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. So this is actually Jesus quoting Psalm 118, and I'll read a little bit of that. So this is David calling upon the Lord, right, to save him, to send his salvation. And he says, open to me the gates of righteousness that I may enter through them and give thanks to the Lord. This is the gate of the Lord. The righteous shall enter through it. I thank you that you have answered me and have become my salvation. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So super popular verse at the very end there. But what I find super interesting is this is what Jesus is quoting. Is David's cry for salvation, and he's using it as a judgment against the religious leaders, right? Like essentially, hey, when he says the stone that builders rejected, he's talking about you rejecting me, right? Anyway, I find it very interesting. Check this out. What do we got? Oh, I'm going to die. I'm going to go down here. We'll jump back up. Okay, I don't know how to do... I started progressing Ronnie's quest line, but I don't know how to do the next step of it because I feel like I've been all over the underworld and I don't know where it is. So we'll just keep reading. Everyone who falls in that stone will be broken to pieces, and when it falls on anyone, it will crush him. Now the scribes and the chief priests sought to lay hands on him at that very hour, for they perceived that he told this parable against them. And they were correct, but they feared the people. So they watched him and sent spies who pretended to be sincere, that they might catch him in something he said. Andres, thank you for following, man. Welcome. So they pretended to be sincere, so they might catch him in something he said. This was actually at this time pretty common, like question traps for, like they're a common rabbinical method at the time. Teachers would challenge each other publicly through questions and counter questions back and forth. So this wasn't like an undone thing, right? And it's still, it's in my mind still kind of points to some of the heart issues that are going on, but this was not something that like was new. To the time. It was common during this time. Okay, so they watched him, they pretended to be sincere, and then they wanted to deliver him up to the authority and jurisdiction of the governor. So they're trying to collude with, at this time, Rome, to essentially say, hey, this guy's doing things that are unlawful. We want you to throw him in prison. We want you to do something with him. So they asked him, Teacher, we know that you speak and teach rightly. We know that you speak and teach rightly and show no partiality, but truly teach the way of God. So a bit of a suck-up little starting conversation there. Teacher, you're so smart and so wise. We're attempting to trap you here, but just know that we know that you say only things that are good and true and new. So then they say, oh, cool. Is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not? Tribute, taxation, that's what's going on here. So they're saying, hey, should we give taxes to Caesar? Many people at this time, many people at this time, were not happy at all with the Roman governing authority. In their opinion, they were going, Jesus, right? These Messiah figures that would come in. I don't believe it. Is there really something under here? No, there's not. Makes me sad. These Messiah figures that would come in, most of them would come in under the guise or under the desire to say, hey, we're going to have a military victory over Rome, over this incursion, right? People were waiting for the Messiah to come because he was going to deliver them from the power of Rome by military might. And so them asking this question is interesting. Hey, Divine Lion, welcome. I'm good. How are you? So they ask him this question of, should we give tribute to Caesar? And they're using the term tribute. They're like, should we give taxes to Caesar, right? Should we pay him when the Messiah is supposed to come and free us from this oppression, right? And there's a multi-meaning here of kind of what they're saying, because the Caesars of the time were claiming to be God themselves. No necessary item ahead. Okay, well. Sweet. That saves me time. So the Caesars of the time would claim to be God or the Son of God. Like the actual coins that they would mark often would claim divinity for the Caesar of the time. We're not sure that this one had that, but a lot of them did. A lot of the coins of the time did have that. Okay, I need to go up there. Hold on. I think I can go up above, right? I feel like this is there's more here than I've seen so far, but I could be wrong. Let's go check it out and see. I haven't gone up this way yet. Okay, so they say, is it lawful for us to give tribute to Caesar or not? But he perceived their craftiness and said to them, show me. Oh my goodness, I didn't know he could throw up that far. He spits a long way. Oh, there it is. Look, there's the... All right, let's move. All right. So he kind of turns it back and he says, oh, okay, all right. And he says, show me a denarius. Denarius is like the equivalent of a day's wages, read about. So show me a denarius. Whose likeness and inscription does it have? And they said, Caesar's. Right? And once again, we don't know this for sure, like this one they were looking at did, but a lot of times the inscription would say Son of God. So it was both a question about the right that Rome had to rule and govern over them and their desire to be free from it, as well as oftentimes a claim to divinity coming from the Caesar, right? So it's like double problematic because you're essentially paying homage and in essence like partaking in some element of worship to a Caesar, which would have been seen as like sacrilege, right? And so they're trying to trap him one way or the other. And so he says, hey, whose likeness and inscription is on it? And they said, it's Caesar's. And then he said to them, then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Right? So he's totally changing this conversation into, hey, I don't really care. Go and give to Caesar the things that have Caesar's face on it, but the things that have God's face on them, right? In the context of what we've just been reading about the vineyard, right? The story of the vineyard. This is alluding back to this, right? Hey, algorithm, welcome. That's a cool name. And there's a chance that I'm not seeing this exactly the way that Jesus intended it, but what I see is what he's saying is like, hey, I don't care about that. Go give to Caesar his money. That's not going to bother me. He's sitting in authority over a place, and that's a short-lived time. We've already talked about the fall of that empire, but are you giving to God what is God's? Are you bringing him the people of God? Are you interceding for him? Or are you using your position of authority as just a way to make profit, a way to make money, right? What is your heart condition here? Because you asking the question about these like taxations to Caesar, your heart's so far wrong in the first place. It's not like you're in a place of righteousness and then questioning, right? It's not like you're like producing fruit and then questioning whether or not doing this is going to lead you astray. It's like you're so far astray already. You're so far outside of the will that I have for you, the will that God, my Father, has for you, that it's like you're not in a position of righteousness, fearing for a chance that you may lose that. And so go render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Give him his taxation. I don't care. Are you actually giving the things to God that are God's? That's the question. Mystery, welcome back. Happy to have you. All right. And they were not able in the presence of the people to catch him in what he said, but marveling at his answer, they became silent. And this happens a lot. Jesus silences them quite often. Here, I'm just going to... I keep dying with stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I think we need a little bit more. I should have done the math. I'm sorry, guys. We're going to reset down. We need 56. I don't think that's enough. We'll do that. All right, so he silences his enemies, which are supposed to be the leaders of the people of God, which is kind of sad. Okay. I think we might go mind again. What does that put our 121? Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Okay. So, then there came to him some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection. And they asked him a question. Okay, pause for a moment here. Still religious leaders, still religious authorities, a different sect. So this whole idea that things didn't break apart and get problematic until after Jesus came is not true. Even at this time, there were people who were disagreeing with one another and creating different priestly sects. Actually, part of this like history book thing that I'm reading of Josephus, one of his big questions is which group of priests should he follow, because he was a Jewish priest after the time of Christ, not a Christian. So this is not like a Christian book, but it gives you insight as to the history of this stuff. So the Sadducees, from my understanding of this, they will only accepted the first 5 books of the Old Testament. So that would have been like in essence the beginning portion of the Torah. I believe the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. And so they denied afterlife beliefs. They went, hey, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. We've got the law. We've got the patriarchs. We're stopping there. We don't believe anything else is from God. And so there is no resurrection. There is no afterlife because the majority of that's discussed is actually discussed later on in the Old Testament. So they denied that, and they questioned it. And so they asked him a question saying, Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife but no children, the man must take the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died without children, and the second and the third took her, and likewise, what does it say? Yeah, he's dead. I haven't done any of the quest line for this thing, so I don't think there'll be anybody here, if I'm not mistaken. There's a sending gate right there. Oh. Somebody's here. Okay, well. You guys can tell I'm really good at this game. Oh, man. Is that Moonveil? Well, that worked. PS Champion wasn't too strong. Is there more of them? Yeah, I knew it. Hold on. Drink. Nice. Good job. Oh, that's Rajier. That's my friend. What was he doing here? Oh, no. Oh, man. Well, attack him. I'm having to roll out of the way of this stuff. Oh, that killed him. That thing works really well. Hold on, we gotta run. Don't keep pulling it out, though. We got him. Great job, everybody. Okay, so they ask about the afterlife. Oh, sweet. Got a lot of runes, too. So he takes the first wife, dies without children, and then a second, then the third took her, right? All these brothers take her, and they all die because, hypothetical stories are always fun to try and defend. Everyone loves a good, super edge case hypothetical that'll never happen. So, after that, all 7 took her, none had children, and they all died. And afterward, the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will this woman be? For 7 had her as a wife. So what can we actually expect? I've never actually talked to this woman this entire playthrough.
I knew you would come.
So I've never had the blessing or that little hug thing.
Deny us like the dogmatic
I don't want to be held or... I don't know. I don't know what I want. I'm just going to say that's right. See what happens.
I am the companion. I wish to be a mother. So it is that I must bear.
I don't want to kill her. I'm just going to leave. See where this goes. Okay, so whose wife will she be in the resurrection? Right? First off, they don't believe in the resurrection, so this is pretty clearly seen through as just a testing question. Jesus said to them, the sons of this age marry... Oh, we're back at the royal capital. That's weird. Is that a person? What is that? No. Nope. It's like a sawhorse. We're good. The sons of this age marry and are given in marriage, but those who are considered worthy to attain to that age and to the resurrection from the dead neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore because they are equal to angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. But the dead are raised, even Moses showed in the passage about the bush, where he calls the Lord the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. Now he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. Pause there. Pay attention. He's referencing something in the first 5 books, utilizing it to point to the fact that, hey, you actually should believe in the resurrection, right? In your books that you agree to, Moses calls out that he's the current God of these people, right? These people that he claims are still living, that are still good. Where am I? Is this the very beginning of Landell? I think it might be. Hi, Bull's mom. Welcome. I don't understand. It is. It's the very, very beginning of it. Well, that was fun. All right. Did we clear this area pretty well? I don't know where to go for Ronnie's quest line. I feel lost. Okay, so they cannot die anymore because they are equal to angels. So there's a thing here that a lot of people get tripped up on, and that's the idea that you don't get to take your wife into eternity. And or your husband, sorry for all the women here. You're welcome as well. Did I lose my camera? Hold on. We'll fix it. See if that does it. At some point, we'll have what we need in order to like get a camera that doesn't have a battery that dies over and over again during the thing. But until then, I think we're fine. We're good to go. Sorry, people get caught up on like I don't get to take my my favorite person to eternity with me, and I'm not sure we understand the purpose or meaning of what's going on there, right? Because he's talking about, he's like, hey. What you're talking about is not an eternal thing, right? You're talking about something that is to give us a companion while we're here in the short amount of time. And afterward, you're not going to have number 5. You're not going to have the limitation, right? There's not going to be, you're not going to be lacking anything, right? This isn't going to be the same thing as what you've had before. But his point here is mainly to answer to the question of their lack of belief. Oh, hold on. Don't die to that. Their lack of belief in the fact that there's a resurrection by pointing them back to the word that they say they already believe in, and then showing them an area in there where it showcases that, hey, the resurrection is real, and God has already made it clear that he is the God of the living and not of the dead. And that the patriarchs are currently living. They're not dead. All right, we got that. We're good to go. Did I just pass this right up and go straight up to the giant earlier? Okay. The dead are raised, Moses in the burning bush. Okay, yeah, we went through that because he uses Exodus to prove it. Now he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. Then some of the scribes answers, Teacher, you have spoken well. Once again, completely shutting him down. It's like, hey, there's nothing they can do to to stand and accuse it, right? There's nothing they can do to do it, and they're just kind of like, wow, all right, well, yeah, well done. You've done a good job. Okay. All right, for they no longer desired to ask him any question. But he said to them, how can they say that the Christ is David's son? So they're done asking questions, and then he shifts focus. And he shifts focus away from what they've Here, hold on. Where am I at right now? What is this? Forge of the... Oh, I was up there. Okay. I need to go... Okay, that's the bottom. Sorry, I'm all distracted. I'm going to go here. All right. He said to them, how can they say the Christ is David's son? So he's taking it now, and he's totally turning the conversation a different direction. He's like, listen, we're going to talk about what I want to talk about now. For David himself says in the book of Psalms, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. David thus calls him Lord. So how is he his son? And it seemingly they don't say anything. Now, what he's quoting here is he's quoting Psalm 110. Hi, Jesse. Thanks for following. Psalm 110, he's once again talking about the Messiah. He's claiming divinity. He's claiming this for himself. And Psalm 110, I'll read the part where he's referencing, which is literally the very first line. It's verse 1. The Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies your footstool. The Lord sends forth from Zion your mighty scepter. So he's talking about the kingship of God, right? A mighty scepter is an element of king. Rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people will offer themselves freely on the day of your power in holy garments. From the womb of the morning, the dew of your youth will be yours. The Lord has sworn and will not change his mind. You are a priest forever, after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord is at your right hand, and he will shatter the kings on the day of his wrath. He will execute judgment among the nations, filling them with corpses. He will shatter chiefs over the wide earth, and he will drink from the brook by the way. Therefore, he will lift up his head. So pay attention. So Jesus is playing the role of a prophet here, calling this out, calling out this quote that, hey, David called his own descendant Lord. How can he do that? Based upon the way that you all perceive customs, how can he be his son if he calls him Lord? That's not something that happens. And so he's playing the role of like a prophet, bringing the words of God to the people and correcting and reproving them. What's interesting here is what he is quoting to do this. Hold on, we got these snail skulls, whatever you want to call them. Don't let him whack you with this boat. He's usually really powerful. Oh, I missed. All right, let's fill up real quick. We did it. All right, great work, everybody. We got some more death root. Okay. So what he's doing here is he's saying, hey, he's asking them a question. So he's quieted them. Now he's pushing back on them saying, hey, how on earth is the Messiah David's descendant when David calls him Lord, right? How is he doing this? But what he's also pointing to is the fact that, hey, if he is this, so like what he's quoting, Psalm 110, which they would have known most likely by heart based upon their training and teaching, is that he is in that one psalm, it claims the Messiah as two things. It claims him as first, well, it actually claims as kind of three. So you say, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand. So one, sits at the right hand of God. Two, is king over the earth, right? He rules with a mighty scepter in the midst of his enemies. And then three, he's a priest forever in the order of Melchizedek. Now, if y'all haven't been following along for long enough, we actually went through this. I believe it's when we were studying Hebrews. I believe that's where we're talking quite a bit about Melchizedek. But if you don't, Melchizedek is crazy. So Melchizedek is the king of Salem. He comes up. Abraham gives him a tenth of everything after he comes out of the Valley of Kings, and he gets he gives him a tenth of all of his stuff. Right? He says, "Hey, you've done well to me." He shows. Oh, is this the Deathbird area? One second. I can't go in there while we're talking about this. This is too important. So, but the word Melchizedek. What's interesting is like it shows up. Very mysterious figure shows up in like one chapter in the Old Testament, and Abraham, before the priesthood is established, before any of the stuff, gives him a tenth of everything that he pulls. So he gives him a tithe. He comes as his name literally means king of justice or king of righteousness, which is very, very interesting. Melchizedek, literally, that's what that means. He is the king of Salem, or the king of Shalom, or essentially what you're looking at is the king of peace, right? He comes out of Salem. Salem means peace. And the word, if you guys don't know it, Jerusalem is just city of peace. So you have this high priest. It claims him as a high priest there. He is the king of righteousness, and he is the king of the city of peace, or the king of Jerusalem. Comes out. This is before the priesthood has been established. This is before all the stuff has happened with Abraham all the way on down, and he's given a tenth. There are a lot of people who believe this is actually what's called like a Christophany, or hey, this is Melchizedek was actually a showcasing of Christ. Christ coming before he came in flesh on the earth to come and save us. He shows up to Abraham early on. There's a question about that, but it does say that he had no beginning and no end. And then here, when David's writing, David also clearly sees something really important out of Melchizedek, because he says, hey, you're a priest forever out of the order of Melchizedek. There was no beginning to Melchizedek. There was no end, and it's the same for you, right? And so this is the claim that, hey, he sits at the right hand of God. He is my descendant. He is my Lord. He is king, and he is priest forever in the order of Melchizedek, which Melchizedek was a king and a priest. And so Jesus is claiming this for himself here. And he said, how can this be? Like, y'all answer me this. How can this be? How can you even look for a Messiah in trouble when David calls him Lord, but he's supposed to be the descendant of David? Ouch. Mormons call the priesthood the Melchizedek priesthood. Yes, I don't know that we have time to refute Mormonism to the level that we would be able to. They do call it that. They do also change a ton of the definitions on a lot of what they're referring to, because they have added literature that really changes kind of the root nature and meaning of a lot of what we know of. And so it's hard to have conversations about like how it's very similar, because when the definitions change, it's very, very hard to talk clearly with each other. I'm going to die. Here we go. Ouch. Move. He died. Now it's only me and him. Hey. Oh. I feel like that was... All right, we should be good. I think we're going to be okay. Ooh, I don't know. Not with those wing things coming out. Ouch. Everybody hold on. Dr. Gaines, welcome. We're close. We're so close. Hold on. Nobody move. Everyone stay here. Oh, that's a rip off. We got him. We got him. That was first try as well. I think the point I'm making there, Viking, is that there's a very likely case to be made that what's being pointed to there is that Melchizedek is likely an exposing of Christ early on. Right? Because the fact that both of Melchizedek's name just means king of peace. But it's not to say that he is necessarily more important than Jesus. I think that the reality is there are prophecies that are taken throughout the Old Testament that says he's going to come as Prince of Peace, right? Prince of Jerusalem, Prince of Salem. He is the King of Peace, and Jerusalem means city of Salem. So Melchizedek's name means King of Righteousness. His name doesn't mean King of Peace, but he is King of Salem, which is an interesting name when you see that this is before Jerusalem has really been established in any way whatsoever. This is way early on in the very beginning. And so it's this mysterious exposure to this thing, and then it's often used to call back to, because it's such a mysterious piece of what was happening there when Abraham gave a tenth of everything. And now we're going to get struck down with lightning. And in the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, right? So they don't actually answer him here. Hey, what is, when he's like, hey, how can he be David's son when David calls him Lord? And he said in the hearing of the people, in the hearing of all the people, he said to his disciples, beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes, love greeting in the marketplaces and the best seats in the synagogue and the places of honor at feasts, who devour widows' houses and for a pretense make long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation. So these guys who are going around putting on airs, showcasing themselves as important. Again, a lot of them had political power at the time. A lot of them would be connected to either Rome or rebellion against Rome. And he's saying, hey, beware of these people. Their outcome is going to be, their condemnation is going to be great, right? If they lift themselves up and shove down the most oppressible, the most vulnerable people for the sake of their own uplifting. Oh my goodness, I have a lot of... Okay, sweet. All right, hold on. Let's go faith one more. We'll do that. And then let's go in here. Okay, life application. A couple things here, and then we'll split off. We got about 3 minutes left. So recognizing Jesus' authority shapes how we live, right? If we have a misunderstanding, somebody brought up Mormons. Mormons have a very different understanding of who Jesus is than we do. In their belief, Jesus is essentially the same as us. We're all spiritual children of God, and he is the same. We do not follow that. And Jesus is much greater than any of us are, right? We're not of the same being in any way. And so understanding who Jesus is, who he truly is a key importance in how we live our life and what we do. He's kind of trapped in the doorway there. We got him. Oh, there's another one. Hold on. He tried to trick us. All right. Second thing I would say is that our motives have a massive, massive impact on our actual spiritual understanding. There is a ton that goes into whether we truly are humble enough to understand what Christ has for us and what God has for us in our life. And a big part of that is, hey, what is my motivation? What's my motivation of wanting to draw close to God? What's my motivation of reading his word? What's my motivation of prayer? What's actually driving me? Because if it's for self-gain, which is exactly what we're seeing here in this chapter, it's not going to amount to the outcome that we want, right? That's what the scribes and the Pharisees are for, and they couldn't even see who Jesus was, and he was flat out saying it directly to their face, exactly who he was, but they did not want to believe it because their motives were wrong. And we can have the same issue, right? If we're going in and I'm only seeking God because, times are hard right now and I need him to save me, and it's just for me to get cleared up, and as soon as things get better, all right, I'm back on it. I can abandon this whole thing, move back into the way of going because, hey, things are good again. I've pulled myself up. We're doing well. That's not going to lead to a level of spiritual understanding and growth that I want it to, right? The other thing is hey, God's kingdom cannot be manipulated. Even though there are people who are appearing to do so, it is not working. Right? There are people who are leading people astray, who are doing all sorts of stuff, but the kingdom of God cannot actually be manipulated. Right? God will have his way. He is not someone that anyone can stand against and can be spoken of. Oh, I hate the birds. I do not like the birds. I think these are worse than the dogs. Got him. I think those are worse than the dogs. Okay. The other thing is spiritual pride can blind us, right? If we get too proud on ourselves and what we're doing, it's so important that we stay. Can't open that? We stay humble and we just like sit at the feet of God, right? What's up, Hazy Moon? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay. Oh, the other thing is one of the things that he talks through is that true devotion to Christ often does not fit with. Oh yeah, I'm happy to have you here. What is that? Is it a bat? Are you a bat? Oh, a bat. Okay, cool. Well, welcome, bat. That's what I'll call you. Hazy, it's going very well. We're actually just finishing up. We're a minute over. But true devotion contrasts with this kind of like public recognition, right? This is what Jesus is warning the leaders about over and over. Is like, hey, you say that you want to be for God, but everything that you do is for your own benefit. And so Jesus is warning these people, hey, like you're seeking recognition rather than true righteousness, and that's something that we can get caught up in as well. Even in church, right? We've got these people who, and I've struggled with it before. It's like, hey, we're totally caught up in our purpose and our drive of like, hold on, I gotta kill these guys. Oh man. Right, like being involved. I don't think I can do this stab one. I need to choose it different. I should have been able to do both. I think that should have allowed me to parry both of those guys at one time. There we go. We got it. All right. The final thing I'll say here is, man, Jesus' authority, what he does, what he brings, I'm doing good. Lors Dube? Hold on. Jesus' authority exposes truth, and it also exposes when the motives of the heart are incorrect. And he does that for us as well, even today, right? Got him. I'm getting pretty good at parrying. I feel pretty good. All right, let's go up here, and then I gotta close out here pretty soon. We'll find a place to rest, and then we'll take a break. Bat, thank you for following. All right, can you see the chat? Yeah. I don't know how to say your name, Lurs Dube. And I feel like I might be like saying an accidental cuss word or something, but I can see your chat. Thanks for being here, Bat. I appreciate it. Viking, I appreciate you staying the whole time, man. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here and for being involved. We're going to be here tomorrow. We're going through Luke chapter 21 tomorrow, what's in Luke chapter 21? Oh, man, I'm stoked about this. Jesus foretelling the destruction of the temple is in Luke chapter 21. This will be good. So we'll be here tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Central. That's 7:30 a.m. Eastern. That's 5:30 a.m. my time, which is like Mountain Time. If you happen to live in Pacific Time, you just don't go to sleep, and you can stay up until like 4:30 a.m. and watch. But we'll be here for an hour on that day tomorrow, and we'll be going through chapter 21. In the meantime, Eastern at 7:30 a.m. is when I start, and that's just assuming I wake up on time. We've got a newborn baby, so you guys can, if you want. Someone just brought up Discord. There is a Discord server. I think there's a link in the actual page. I'm terrible at using Discord, so I apologize in advance for my complete lack of understanding of how that works, but I was asked multiple times to make a Discord. Hazy Moon, thank you. Is it Hazel Moon? It's Hazel. I'm so sorry. Hazel Moon. Thank you for that encouragement. In the meantime, though, keep Christ the center focus of your life. Stay in step with the Spirit, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for Luke chapter 21 here at 7:30 a.m. Eastern for Bat. All right? Okay. Peace out. You guys have a good day.